How big are we talking here, these islands?
Oh, you're about to see. So I'm gonna.
That seems like something more fitting of like Indo-Pacific region than South America.
Yes. Let me. We're gonna have to EFAP this because I don't want to get copyright strike already.
And welcome to Lake Titicaca. We are presently at Puno on the northern end of the lake in Peru.
So they're going to be on the northern end of the lake, which puts it up around here, I think. No, here, right here. All right, so let's keep going.
And we're about to get on a boat for a ride to what are called the Uros floating islands. Now, the Uros are a people quite different.
You're just doing
Quechua and Aymara people.
Catch up with some of the stuff I said.
The Quechua go back possibly 2,000 years, as do the Aymara. But the Uro, whose actual origins are unknown, have been living on these floating islands for at least 3,000 years.
So
that's interesting.
3,000 years, these people just keep building up these islands and making them habitable. So here in a second,
their origin is unknown.
See them come into view.
But some stories say that they came from the Amazon jungle area, though that is unknown. Supposedly, their blood type is quite different than most human beings, and so their origins are quite intriguing. Now, what you see are totora reeds on the left and right-hand side. Totora is native to Lake Titicaca, as well as the coast of Peru, and also Easter Island, quite curiously. The burning...
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
So it's lake specific, the coast, and Easter Island. And I don't know if you caught that, but they have a very specific gene type in their DNA.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
See in the background is actually a massive totora fire that was probably set accidentally. Now, these islands are quite easy to get to from Puno. It takes about an hour to an hour and a half to get there.
No.
And right now...
He's about to say something that is pretty much to sum up how much tourism has fucked up this area.
Now we're coming up to an actual checkpoint where a toll is paid in order to visit these fascinating islands. The islands are indeed floating. They're made out of totora reed, which is cut from a distant area, and the large chunks are floated by boat. There you see a double-hull totora floating boat.
So I think you can see how big those are, Val, right?
Wow.
You can see all the...
And it's all made out of reeds.
Yep.
Reeds that would deteriorate over time and have to be replaced constantly.
Yep.
And they have housing structures on them, or are they boats with roofs?
You'll see in a second.
Could carry a sail.
We're not going to watch this video all the way through, but I just wanted you to see what these...
And now we're approaching one of the 80-something floating islands. And we're going to get off and walk around. Each one of these floating islands is an extended family. In the case of this one, 6 families live on the island. And because they live on a floating island, they pay no tax.
Based. Can't tax me for land rights if I live on water.
But I mean, you can see the houses. They're not great in terms of houses, but they're definitely stable structures. They're not going anywhere.
And they have reeds growing in the reeds.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Quite a few of them have day jobs in the city of Puno or elsewhere, but they're trying quite hard through tourism to be able to protect their culture. So here we are. It's a little bit spongy when you walk around on the island, but I think they average about a meter thick or more, and they simply keep adding more of the totora reed onto the top in order to build it up, because
So they literally go and harvest more reed and lay it down. And I guess when they started, they would have to weave them together in some way to keep them together.
Probably at first, yeah.
But now you're talking
thousands of years later.
He's talking 3 meters. Those things are 10 foot thick.
Did you say 3 meters or a meter?
I thought he said 3. I could be wrong.
They do start to sink, and each floating island lasts an average of 20 to 25 years. Of course, a few years before the island actually does sink, they do start making another island.
Oh.
So here you see almost everything is made out of the totora reed, including the houses. We saw an umbrella back there, and each one of these little buildings is for a specific use. One would be a bathroom, another would be a kitchen, another would be sleeping quarters. There you see a map of Lake Titicaca. And this is an explanation by a tour guide as to what.
So they actually do sink and they start over.
And they've been doing this for thousands of years.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
I mean, and they say they keep it family and extended family. That's probably a lot of people.
Well, that's probably why their genotype is a little different than everybody else's.
Could be. But yeah, wow. No, it's these floating islands are a little crazy.
That thing's wild. What an interesting way to adapt. That you'd think that has to be like a defensive maneuver, right?
Maybe. We're getting a little bit far ahead of the stream here, but maybe.
My bad.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. They keep building islands,
and they only last for like 25 years, and then they just sink and they rebuild a new island.
I assume they eventually get so thick, they get so waterlogged, they eventually just sink.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
You got the decay coming through from the bottom up. You just keep laying new stuff on top. Plus, you got houses. Then you got your bathrooms. You're cooking. I assume it's not a very sanitary place.
Well, I don't know though. All your waste you could just put in the water, like you wouldn't have any.
Yeah, the same water you're cooking with and bathing.
Well, that's not great. But that lake's huge though. It is absolutely ginormous. Ginormous.
All right. Let's see here.
How do they keep the 80 islands from like running into each other? I'm so intrigued by this. If I had half an ounce of willingness to travel, I'd go check this place out personally.
So I was really trying to figure that out my damn self, which he said was in this area. So I assume there's not too much of a current. And with enough weight and surface tension, with the size of the boats or the floating islands, I would assume they don't move that much. Right? I mean, you got a little bit of an inlet. You got everything chilling out here. It's not like an ocean, right? It's not a small boat. It's something really heavy. I mean, you think of just leaving a barge somewhere on a lake in the middle of a mountain that has no real flowing current. Like, it's not going to want to run around.
I would think that the wind would push them to the shores. I would think.
Or out. I mean, it's like with as heavy as these things have to be, how much wind it would take to actually move them. But let's see what chat's ranting about.
X-Comer.
X-Comer's a mess.
I love it.
Well, he asked why it would be saltwater. Allegedly, this lake was formed when the mountain ranges were. Allegedly. And then glaciers built up during the Ice Age and melted and slowly deposited water everywhere. So in theory, it should be some salt water.
Well, the seahorses is what threw me.
Yeah.
When you told me about the seahorse thing, I was like, wait, so it's a saltwater lake. That was why I thought it was saltwater. My bad. I made a link in my head that I apparently should not have.
So I told you, just wait for the show. I got you. All right. Surveys from, I'm just going to call him Richard because I'm white as shit. Surveys don't really catch everything either. More than 530 aquatic species are native to Lake Titicaca. I don't see a survey listing pipefish or horsefish, but I just looked and I'm lazy. Yeah, it also depends on when the survey was done as well. Like I kind of touched on with bringing in new fish species. Words are hard today.
Invasive species.
Of fish. Some of them are predatory. There have been stuff that has gone extinct in that lake.
Well, that's how it works with fish, man. If you fit in my mouth, I'm going to eat you.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Let's see here.
Seahorses also, by the way, are they very easily get outcompeted for food because they're so slow moving and they have to have really calm waters. Otherwise they get blown all over the place. So a lot of problem with keeping aquarium seahorses is that other fish in the tank will eat all their food and they'll just starve to death. So a bigger population of more aggressive fish that eat the same food would very easily wipe out seahorses as well.
Yeah. And they're not the most resilient species.
No, they're so delicate.
Anything.
They're so delicate.
Let's see. X-Comer coming in with the lake Titicaca.
Yep.
Blandris wants to know their blood type. Why don't you take a trip down there and find out for us?
I don't know if the island would hold him. He might go right through it.
He doesn't even need to take a boat.
Right.
Barbara says, I give them credit. That's smart.
It's a really unique way to do it.
Yeah. So X-Comer, so open fire is not too popular here. I would assume not. Hey, you go start a fire on our thatch island.
I mean, they got to cook though.
Yeah, with the huts, I assume they make some type of mud, and then with modernization, I assume they have some sort of wood burning stove or some sort of insulation on stuff.
It's interesting. Floating around on a bunch of dry reeds, though, probably not the best spot for a fire.
Not at all. Let's see. I don't know if Nando's Man Bun is making a joke or if I should actually read that one. But he's asking about their blood.
I think she meant the actual color of the blood.
Look, we've all seen chat before. Richard, mold and fungus control sounds like a nightmare.
Probably be algae more than anything.
Yeah, probably not the most sanitary.
Well, you're in like direct